It's INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Alex Jones. It is Monday, December 5th, 2011. We don't have any guests tonight because I needed all the time we have to cover the news. It is going to be a powerful transmission. We've also dug up some video of Senator Jay Rockefeller talking about globalist and Bilderberg treason here in America and making a big, disgusting, sickening joke out of it. We also have Senator Snowe making jokes about a new world order. Of course, both these senators last Thursday voted to allow the military to operate domestically and to disappear American citizens, and they're quite proud of themselves. So many times jest is where you find the real truth. That is coming up after the first break this evening. But right now, let's get into what's happening with the top of the pyramid, the big mega banks that are destroying, you could say pissing away the value of the dollar through devaluation. Look at this headline. Fed may give loans to IMF to help Eurozone. Well, internationally, the Federal Reserve is just the North American version of this, the U.S. version of this. Internationally, the IMF is an international global consortium of the very same six mega banks. And so it's just with one hand giving to the other hand and always acting like it's fixing the problems in Europe or it's fixing the problems in America. It's backstopping derivatives that the big six mega banks sold into the world market in the last 12 years or so. But notice they say that they may do it. They've been doing it for years and years and years. In fact, here's another headline. Fed says it takes no risk in lending dollars for Europe at zero or even lower than zero. Then they loan it out at interest to the general public and governments. So that's basically where the free money comes in, and that devalues it. So they've been doing this for a long time. Here's a government accounting office breakdown where they go over the fact that 16+ trillion, then if you add the other trillions that are involved, it's 23.7 trillion since 2008 has been, in some cases, just given or loaned at zero or lower than 0% interest. In fact, again, those numbers there are not in thousands. That's 2+ trillion there that was given to Citigroup. You can see right there where Morgan Stanley was given over 2 trillion. Bank of America down there with, what, 1.344 trillion. Look over here on screen right here. We have an article from July 20th, 2009, 2 years ago. U.S. rescue may reach 23.7 trillion. And that's before they actually got the numbers. Now, remember, this is your tax money. Then the bankers loan it back to the government. We give it to them in a bailout. They loan it back at interest to the governments, and they've lowered the U.S. credit rating. They've lowered the member states and the EU's credit ratings so that you have to borrow this from the same banks at a higher interest rate, and they created the fraud. I know it doesn't make sense. It's just an incredible level of bamboozling that is going on. And here's the Federal Reserve System. Opportunities exist to strengthen policies and processes for managing and assisting the emergency. Continuing here, with this news, we have the fact that people like MF Global have made giant investments in bonds in Europe, in some cases with Corzine 40-1, showing just incredible gambling that is going on. But this brings volatility that the different brokerage firms and speculators love because they're the insiders and they know which way it's going to go. It's basically a rigged casino where the odds are absolutely stacked against the public, and they come in and finance and wine and dine and hire and pay off on record county and city officials, city managers, who then invest not just the pension funds, but also the bonds and other programs into these derivatives. That way you're held hostage by the financial fraudsters who say, give us more power or we'll implode your economy. I know I talk a lot about this, and it's for this reason. It's because until the public understands how this fraud works, that's hidden in plain view, we have no hope of reversing the direction we're going in, which is total debt bondage to the mega banks who are telling Europe, you give up all your sovereignty, waive all your rights, and then we'll bail you out. But then 90+% of the bailout goes to the very banks that are saying this. Iceland's the only country to figure this out and say no. And it turned out 90+%, what was it in that case, 92, 93%, was owned by the very, or owed by the very mega banks that were lecturing the Icelanders there in Reykjavik. Okay, continuing here, looking at more of what the big mega banks are up to. Here's a New York Times article from yesterday. There was an AFP article today. U.S. agents laundered Mexican profits of drug cartels. Now, I've been telling you since February, when we noticed in federal court filings that the U.S. government had declared in Chicago and other areas in different trials of Mexican drug lords, that yes, it's true, we're dealing the drugs and laundering the money and shipping guns into Mexico, but we're doing it for national security, and so it shouldn't matter. These Mexican drug cartels that work for us, that one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing, have now indicted. They should still go to prison, even though they followed our orders. And those mega cartels are waging wars against the other cartels that aren't laundering their money. And I told you this was going to come out because since February, 10 months ago, this has been in the El Paso Times, Chicago Tribune, but never became a national story. So now they're hiding it in plain view. Oh, yeah, we did launder some money and deal some drugs, only to learn how this money and drugs were basically transferred around, as if the masters are learning from their minions. Continuing, though, if the establishment thinks that they're going to ship guns into Mexico and to other areas of the U.S. to destabilize things and then blame the Second Amendment, think again. This is the Rubicon. This is the line in the sand. The public will not put up with this. Since Obama got elected in 2008 and became president in January of 2009, gun sales have been at a record pace, but now all of those previous records have been shattered in the last 2 weeks. Fear of a second Obama term spurs record gun sales. Single-day firearms purchases hit all-time highs. So Homeland Security on record is training the police and military to take on conservatives, libertarians, people that basically aren't communist or collectivist. And boy, I wouldn't want your job, because if 1% of the 150 million gun owners decide to not go along with these un-American Nazi-type or Soviet-type authoritarian actions, that's 1,500,000 combatants. And they're not going to just wait in their house for you to come at 4 a.m. And you know that. They're going to come out and they're going to find you. So my advice to all the people out there is don't be stupid like the Germans were with Hitler or the Russians were with the Soviets. Say no to this tyranny now, and let's reverse this, okay? Let's not go where this is going, because when you start secretly arresting people and get rid of all hope, and people know, well, I can just disappear into a black hole, they're going to start fighting you. Don't corner a raccoon, a wolf, a human. I mean, we're the dominant species on this planet. Just because the globalists play God and have tried to domesticate us, the veneer of civilization is already peeling back. And this country is at DEFCON 4 right now. The globalists do want a civil war. And that is the last thing we need. We are kicking their butt in the info war, just like Gandhi did. Let's keep it that way. But when they start offensively attacking people, the gloves are off. Never attack offensively. But if you do start defending yourself defensively, well, as you know, the sky's the limit. We are at the crossroads. And if you're a new viewer, don't laugh at this. Bear testament. Go do research into what we've predicted up to this point. We've been on target. I'm telling you the next chapters in this designed global takeover. The globalists don't care if it wrecks things. They believe you're going to break a few eggs and make an omelet. They want to dominate things financially with a paramilitary backstop. It's not going to work. But they may wreck everything in the process of reaching for power, like Napoleon did, like so many others did. All right, let's continue here. Truly disgusting piece of news. Herman Cain has come out and said he endorses Newt Gingrich. You've got Mr. Council on Foreign Relations, Mr. New World Order, Mr. Open Borders, gun control, carbon taxes, government-run health care, Mr. Establishment, being endorsed by the former head of the Atlanta excuse me, the former head of the Kansas City Federal Reserve, one of the most powerful branches in the private banking cartel. Of course, he's endorsing Newt Gingrich. It is truly disgusting. And again, anybody who believes Herman Cain was paying a woman's rent for 13 plus years because he cared about her, I mean, needs their head examined. He is a liar. He lied about Ron Paul. He lied about others. He is a puppet, and we told you that. And now it's come out. It was 9999. There was going to be payroll tax on top of it. Then they could jack up all of those nines and have the federal government involved in every facet of our lives. Value-added tax and sales tax, the Fed's involved in that on top of an income tax? Give me a break. Okay, continuing, Pelosi has come out and said she will reveal information on Gingrich when the time is right. And Gingrich made jokes about it, about, sure, give me my Christmas gift. I mean, this is two crooks who become enormously wealthy off their insider trading, off their knowledge, off their lobbying, off their broken promises, off of all their activity.